Good morning everybody, welcome back to the channel, and I've got some exciting news. I'm on my way to Mana Pools National Park as well as Gonarezhou for a month-long overlanding trip through Zimbabwe. And I thought what I would do in this video is show you all the camping gear that I pack into Tom Cruiser for a big trip like this. The series is sponsored by Drive Botswana, an amazing company that can help you put your overlanding trip together, from renting the 4x4, making all the bookings, and helping you with the full itinerary. But I'll tell you a little bit more about them later in the video. Now, all of you know Tom Cruiser, so I'm not going to say too much about that. But as you know, big country fit the roof rack, the wood box, an amazing ostrich wing awning, the fridge at the back, as well as a dual battery system and a double drawer system. But today I'm going to be talking about all the other things that go along with that. I'm talking about all of this. As you can see, I have quite a lot of stuff that has to go into the car, and I thought let's start on this side with the stuff that has to go on top of Tom Cruiser. On the far left there, you'll see the second spare wheel. Now this is super important when you go into these very remote areas and there's a chance that you might get two flats as opposed to just one. And that's just going to allow you to get back to a village or some kind of town where you can fix one or more of those tires. You'll see that I've got a little strap at the top, and that's just to help secure the second spare wheel to the roof rack. And then the spade also goes on the roof rack, and I've just covered the sharp edges because it's very close to my head when I climb in. Next to that, I've got 4 jerry cans, and I know what you guys are thinking, that's a lot of extra weight on the car, and you're 100% right. I don't want to overload the roof rack when I drive. So these will go along empty, and only when I get very close to Mana Pools at the last filling station will I fill them up. And that's literally just to get to Nyamepi campsite, where I will then take them off the roof rack and only use them when I need them. You'll see that I also have a gas bottle and then a small little gas stove, and between these two, that's how we'll do our cooking. Next to this, you will see my second table. I say second table because my first table is already up in the big country roof rack. And then here you'll also see that I've got 2 director's chairs together with 2 small little, well, let's call them bedside tables. These director chairs are the ones that we use when we sit at a table. They're definitely the most comfortable for sitting upright. And the 2 little tables are for sundowners, or we use them in the tent itself to put our phone and lights and other stuff next to the bed. Now, it's going to be extremely hot in Mana Pools while we're there, so we're probably going to spend a lot of time in camp, and we want to make ourselves as comfortable as possible. And that's definitely not going to happen inside the tent. And for that reason, we're also taking with 2 big reclining chairs. So it is the Natural Instinct reclining chairs, and as you can see, they go into this big, beautiful canvas bag that I then strap on to the front of the roof rack. And inside will also go this table, and if I can fit it, these chairs as well. Right, let's move over to the recovery gear and spare parts. So as you can see, I've got my toolbox, a big hammer to hammer in those tent pegs if the ground is very hard, a compressor for inflating the tires when I hit the tar road again, and then also a recovery bag with my tow ropes and my tire repair kit in it. Then of course I've got the high lift jack, always important to cover the mechanism so it doesn't get dust, and with that goes a wooden block for the base as well as the little connector to go into the high lift jack points on Tom Cruiser. I always take with some spare fuel, Q20, transmission fluid, brake fluid and the like. And then remember, when you travel through Zimbabwe, you have to have a 1 kilogram fire extinguisher, or at least minimum 1 kilogram fire extinguisher that's up to date, a reflective jacket for each person in the car, as well as 2 emergency triangles. And of course I also have my first aid kit. And then I also like taking with a full socket set, and then in there is the cover for the radiator if there's tall grass, which I don't really expect, and I always take an old rag with as well. Right, let's move around to this side. You'll see that here's all my braai stuff, so my braai grit, tongs, the pipe that I use for lighting the fire from the gas bottle, a nice big kettle, as well as some welding gloves. And then next to that, this is my basically pop-up cubicle with bucket shower, and then also a bin bag. So because we'll be camping at some very remote campsites in Gonarezhou, we won't have shower facilities there. And that's where I'm going to hoist the bucket shower in a tree. And then because there will be quite a few different people there, just for some privacy, I've got the little cubicle that pops up. The rubbish bag is because, again, you have to take all your rubbish out. So not only do I have the pop-up rubbish bag, but I also have some heavy-duty bin bags that I use inside that. Also very important with a dustbin is at night you must hoist it in a tree as well, or put it on the roof rack so that hyenas don't walk away with it. Then next to that is our little skate stoeltjie or poo chair that we use for if there are no long drop facilities. I always take a feather duster with because you can just imagine how dusty it gets out there. And then I've got one side panel that I'm going to take with to use on the ostrich wing awning. On this side is the sleeping arrangement. So as all of you know, I like camping on the ground. So there's my Oztrail tent. It's a 3-man tent, a ground sheet on top of which that goes with my little mat in front of the door of the tent. And then these days, Tabby and I use stretchers, so one for each of us. And on top of that will go these little mattresses. They actually take up the most space in the car. And then I make what I call my little bedding parcel. That's just our duvets and covers. And then next to that, you'll actually see my gym green boots. So these are the African Rangers. I'm taking these with for the first time. They're incredibly comfortable hiking boots. And that's just because we're expecting to walk quite a lot in Mana Pools. Right, let's go over to this side. Like I've said, it's going to be very hot there. So I'm actually taking a fan with, and that will be powered with my Bluetti EB70 power bank. And behind that is the Bluetti PV200 solar panel. And that's to make sure that this little guy has power all the time. Next to that, our cooler bag. That's where we keep our goodies when we go on game drive. I'll put some freezer bricks in this, and that means I can drive around with some nice, cool drinks. Now, next to that, we have got our washing up station. So this is the collapsible legs, and on that is going to go our drying rack and our 2 little tubs for the water. And inside you'll see just a few extras that I still need to find a home for. Extra gas canisters for the small gas burner, some peaceful sleep to keep the mozzies away, as well as the tsetse flies, and then a few straps and another ratchet strap for the roof if there's anything else we need to tighten. And then lastly on this side, this is our kitchen bag, and this has got all our cutlery and crockery, tablecloth, you know, name it, all of that stuff is in there. I've even put some spices and our salt and pepper, that all lives in there. Right, let's go over to this side. Here I have got some camera stuff, so a box with all my cables, all labeled, plus spare batteries, monopod and tripod, the motion mount door bracket, and that keeps all my video and photo gear nice and stable, a small molar bean bag, as well as a yoga mat. I'll get back to that in a second. On this side, the food stuffies, we actually pack our food in these plastic containers. That's great because they fit perfectly into the big country drawer system in the back. But if I've got my camera bags in the back, these actually stack nicely on the back seat as well. And we're taking a few drinks loose with like this because they pack quite easily. And behind that, we'll talk a little bit about communication, no pun intended. Here is our 2-way radios. So for each vehicle, we've got a VHF radio, and this is from IR Pope and Sons in Cape Town. I'll leave a link in the description if you guys want to rent some VHF radios for your overlanding trip. And then I also have a Sat4Rent sat phone, as well as a SpotX. The satellite phone allows me to phone for emergencies wherever I am, and the SpotX actually transmits my location to my family members, which can follow it on a website. So everybody always knows exactly where I am. I'll leave a link to those in the video description as well. And then lastly, I've got a big ammo box with lots of little extras in it, like pots and pans and toilet paper and you name it. Basically anything that I couldn't find a spot for elsewhere. So here are my maps. Now, even though I have a Garmin GPS with Tracks for Africa in the car, I always take the normal Southern Africa route atlas with me for in case the GPS stops working. I've got another Zimbabwe map as well. And then here I've got the Drive Botswana, Zambia and Zimbabwe trip handbook. And this thing is packed with information. And that is what I love about Drive Botswana. This company makes the planning and the trip itself extremely easy. So that handbook has information about border crossings, where to shop, driving distances, the parks themselves and what animals you can expect to see there, and even the climate. So they are the company to contact if you want to go to Botswana, Zimbabwe, Zambia or Namibia, any of these southern African countries, but you don't have your own 4x4, you don't want to make the bookings, and you're not even 100% sure what is an ideal itinerary. They will take care of everything. And remember, you don't have to camp all the way. They can book safari tents, chalets, and even luxury lodges for you as well. So if you want to go overlanding and you don't have any of this and you don't know where to start, go and check out the link that I've added in the video description to Drive Botswana, along with all the other links that I've mentioned earlier as well. A massive shout out also to all my patrons. You guys are absolute legends, and I can't wait to share the Mana Pools video with you here on the Safari Expert YouTube channel. Until next time.